And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another edition here of the Mass Steel Podcast with yours truly, Charles Prodigy Richie, as we are debuting a new segment here going forward. And sorry for the misunderstanding yesterday. I know I posted out there on Instagram and on Facebook at 10:30s. Going forward, the day of the Steelers game on a Sunday, it will be at 10:30 a.m. So I do apologize for the late start and the misadvertisement on my end. But anyway, for those of you who are about tuning in right now, just want to welcome those of you. It is officially the NFL kickoff right now, the 2020 season, the 101st season of the National Football League as we get ready to join. Steelers' very first opponent is going to be the Giants in the Meadowlands in New Jersey tomorrow. That is going to be a Monday night football game as we get ready to count down still for that time. Ben Roethlisberger's first game back. That game will be on at 6:10 p.m. Central Standard Time on ESPN, as we got a lot of exciting times. Anyway, right now, as we get ready to continue to go on, I'd like to hear some of your favorite opening game moments for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the history of this franchise real quickly. What has been some of the memories that have stood out right now? And also, too, the Steelers got a chance tomorrow as we look at it. For this they got the second all-time winningest record, I believe, according to Missy Matthews, of the Monday Night Football record here in their franchise. And for the Steelers, remember those of you who heard it, and this is a big-time credit to Missy Matthews of Steelers.com and Steelers Live as we look at it. Their primetime record on Monday Night Football, it is an overall 48-24, and they got a chance to be tied, I think, for first in that category for that statistic as we get ready to move along here. That should be interesting, and you know how they usually like to do performing under the lights here as we look at it. For that time being here. And Monday Night Football, which has been around for over 50 years, debuting in 1970, as a matter of fact. And I believe the very first football game was the Jets and the Browns in Cleveland. And that was with Broadway Joe Willie Namath there as we look at. And we're getting ready to pull it up. Once again, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Prodigy Richie. For the Men of Steel podcast on Twitter, it is at Men of Steel CJR. On Instagram, it is at Men of Steel Nation. As we get ready to look at it for the time being. And yeah, definitely a very exciting time. I mean, no doubt about it. It's been a long year back. I don't think anyone's got a chance to see that series on YouTube with Ben Roethlisberger when he had the elbow injury a year ago. They suffered against the Seahawks back in their second game, their home opener, as a matter of fact, as we looked at Bigger Than Ben. It's a three-part series right there. Some interesting stuff right there. You saw a lot with his wife right there and everybody and all his teammates right there and his coaches' support. And I got to tell you, this has definitely been a long time for a guy like Ben Roethlisberger, a guy who's definitely been the face of this franchise for such a long time. I mean, going into his 17th year, it'll realistically be his 16th season played if everything does go okay, I mean, for that time being. As we look at it. But, yeah, I just really like to see right now, definitely admit he had some nerves going into this game, for no doubt about it. But, I mean, at the same time, too, I mean, you also do got a real good team that potentially do a lot of fun, exciting stuff together. And hopefully it will be translating into bringing home a 7th Lombardi. Ben Roethlisberger still feels like he wants to deliver a few more. But in my mind, let's just start off with this one for right now. Let's try and set the pace a little bit earlier. I'll definitely get into my key matchups more in depth tomorrow on the next show on Mondays. You can still definitely catch me throughout the week. And I just, one of the things too going into this matchup. So they had like 3 players listed on the injury report, which wrapped up as of yesterday. You had right guard David DeCastro. He is ruled out with a knee injury going into this game. And then in the meanwhile, you also had Deontay Johnson, who was dealing with a foot injury this past week. As we take a look at it, so far he looks like he's good to go. He was a full participant on Friday and Saturday. Roethlisberger did not practice yesterday due to a coach's decision, and that's what we got on the Steelers. On the Giants side, they got 1 starter listed on the injury report, Golden Tate, who's dealing with a hamstring. He's been limited in practice since Thursday. His status is questionable. And then they also got about 4 other guys on the injury report, which they got 3 of them on defense, which is their linebacker, Marcus Golden, who had an illness. He's been a full participant on Friday and Saturday, did not practice on Thursday. You had Adrian Colbert, free safety, no illness, limited on Thursday, full participant on Friday and Saturday. And middle linebacker, Tay Crowder, who was limited all week. He is questionable for tomorrow's Monday night game. And then last but not least, Levine Toilolo, who is a tight end for the Giants. He's been limited all week since Thursday. So, I mean, what do you guys think? How are you guys feeling about tomorrow's matchup as we get ready to go into this contest here? I definitely got a feel for right now. I mean, definitely, I think the Steelers definitely want to prove a point offensively. It's been a long time without their quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger. I definitely do feel for right now. I mean, one of the main priorities that Mike Tomlin definitely had at the top of his list was definitely trying to zero in on Saquon Barkley. He always mentioned that he knew him very well when he was back in Penn State and everything then. And what kind of a man he was and a prospect. And we'll get to see how this translates for the first game, because I think one of the things, too, I also liked from Arthur Moats, who's you could definitely check him out, the Arthur Moats Experience. And he does a lot of shows on YouTube, podcast-wise, covering for the Steelers. And one of the matchups that he made very intriguing, which I kind of like, is Saquon Barkley versus, I don't know, Devin Bush right here. I think that's going to be a real awesome matchup right there. Very 5-star matchup, if you will, for that sake. And we'll see how that plays out right there, because you got to believe that Devin Bush right now, he's ready to take that next step in his career after year 1. I mean, how much he has had to absorb and learn as a defensive player for this team. And one of the most heartbreaking things early in the week, speaking of Devin Bush, I mean, you have former inside linebacker Ryan Shazier, who announced his retirement earlier this week. I believe it was on Wednesday or Thursday. But, man, I got to tell you right now, for a guy who's definitely given it a lot in this league and has done a lot of remarkable stuff, on and off the field, trying to motivate people. You talk about the Shalev Fight Foundation and everything that he's trying to, continue to drive up. And, just a guy right there who you definitely feel for what he's meant to this organization. And just more importantly, just trying not to give up. I mean, it's definitely hard to swallow a pill like that. I mean, when you've have your eyes set on things. He is now going to be a family guy, an ambassador to the Steelers, I would imagine. But still, you look at a guy like Devin Bush, and you really start to wonder, what is going to be the next steps going on over here? And I got a few people I'll just make a few shout-outs to right now. I got T-Fry33, GOAT _ 3-timer, UC _ Kelly, and J Shep CPA joined. Guys, thank you very much for following here. Hope you guys are having a fantastic Sunday right now. As we get ready to keep around League Two, don't forget, we also got some intriguing matchups coming on today as it relates to the AFC North, their opponents today for this opening on a Sunday. As we get ready to take a look at things, going into our Week One matchup here, as we look all across the league. For our Week One schedules, we'll be definitely seeing for right now the Cleveland Browns. They'll be taking on the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore. That kickoff is less than an hour away, right there. Remember, the Browns did win their last year in September. Still went on there. What if lightning will strike twice, back-to-back years against the Ravens? And then as far as the Bengals are concerned, as far as like rookie quarterback Joe Burrow, they're going to be playing their home opener at the real 5 p.m. Start against the LA Chargers. That's going to be an interesting matchup right there. So, once again, you got the Ravens facing the Browns in Baltimore and the Bengals hosting the Chargers right there in that contest as we look at things right there. And I really be honestly to see how the Steelers right now, I mean, it's one thing to have a season start, but can you get an early jump in this division possibly? And we'll get into that a little bit of fair or foul at the later end of this contest. Yeah, if you guys want to follow me on social media and on Twitter, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Prodigy Richie for the Mass Steel Podcast. On Twitter, it is at Mass Steel CJR and at Mass Steel Nation on Instagram as we take a look at a lot more stuff going into this weekend right now. And I know a lot of things, too, aside from this week. I mean, there's going to still be a lot of people up in fits right now or picking sides with the national anthem and everything going on. I mean, it's still getting, like, more traction. Some people having a hard time accepting and embracing it. But, I mean, the Steelers, I do believe, said they're going to come out together on the field. Definitely, I mean, they remember that experience from the Chicago Bears. And I was talking with Brian Diardo a couple of days ago off to the side, and we were just talking about how that point in time definitely threw off their game plan as far as, like, trying to stay focused as unit. They were not playing like themselves in that Bears game where they did lose in overtime eventually to the Bears. And it was just definitely a big-time egg on their face in that game. It's something they had to live down for quite some time when we look at it. I mean, for right now, I definitely do feel like this team is a lot more organized, especially when you got an organization like the Steelers, too, who's been a more diverse franchise. I mean, definitely trying to be supporters in minorities, like social justice, even the Rooney Rule, which has been around for about 17 years at this point, still needs to do a hell of a lot more work as far as, like, being properly utilized. I mean, Stephen A. Smith, don't forget, earlier in the year, accused, like, the Giants of, like, just basically just kind of, like, overlooking it and, like, getting away with not, like, implementing it, and their hiring of new head coach Joe Judge of the Giants. And that's one of the things, too, when we get to see how this is going to be more. I mean, remember, they're going to be having a lot more people interviewed, head coaches, assistant coaches, executive positions, and we will see how that translates for more stuff here. And just give you a little bit of background on Joe Judge. Speaking of which, he has been last with the New England Patriots for the last 8 seasons, by the way. He's been more special teams coordinator, so he's been a part of 3 Super Bowls, has winning experience aside from that. Been briefly aside with Nick Saban of Alabama for 3 seasons from 2009, 2011. So, I mean, that's pretty much like all his experience he's had at the pro level as far as the NFL goes. He's been more on special teams. I got to imagine one thing, like how key is that going to be for tomorrow's matchup as Steelers look to set the pace a little early, too. I do believe you got a guy in like a Deontay Johnson right there, who I believe right now, who I'm very more excited to see how he's going to take place in his second season with the Steelers. Second team All Pro in his first season with the team, and just did a lot for that team as far as like stepping up on special teams right there. Guy who snapped a 5-year drought of not having a special teams return for a touchdown, but yet alone, just all that right there. And I definitely do feel like special teams will be key in tomorrow's matchup. I mean, I'm not going to say that's going to be one of the top keys, but eventually I feel like you do want to like set the pace a lot quicker, because with a guy who's been a special teams coordinator, you got to think he's going to try and like put the Steelers in an uncomfortable field position earlier on and try and challenge this defense. But that'll be one of many we will get to a little bit later on. So let's go ahead and get to some other storylines going on here surrounding the Steelers. As mentioned by team reporter and host of Steelers Live, Missy Matthews, Steve Nelson did say the team will come out together as a unit on Monday night for the national anthem, show unify as a team. So remember, I think that is very critical right there, especially when you're in the times that we're in right now. I mean, when we're trying to promote and fight for social justice, Black Lives Matter, and show a lot more change. Because at the same time, Stephen A. Smith did say there's a lot of guys who feels like they're throwing like the football like feel like down their throats and ignoring the issues at hand as far as what is affecting lives at this point. And I do agree with that. I mean, for that thing. And I feel right now, I mean, you're doing that part right there. I mean, I would just definitely say it just goes to show you how serious and how mentally and emotionally prepared they are. Stuff like that, I like the makeup of a team. It's not always be your talent, but there has been times where we do still continue to see this team play undisciplined football. I think just by doing that, hey, I mean, it helps a lot. I mean, just to show a little bit of an organized unit and people that will be supporting one another. And I definitely am proud of that message they're doing for the time being for tomorrow's matchup. Also, too, as we keep moving along here, like I said, we already went over the injury report. James Conner's response as far as like Coach Tomlin calling him a bell cow. Remember, Mike Tomlin did express, I mean, the last couple of weeks that they are going to utilize just one back for right now. Pretty much James Conner is going to be their guy going forward for this team as we look at it. And as far as like his reaction to be referred to as a bell cow, he says, I'm built for it. Monday night will be a good time. It'll be exciting to get back out there with this team and put together something special. You know what? To tell you the truth, I mean, James Conner, he still did phenomenal in that first game 2 years ago against the Browns. Of course, he did have a key fumble in that game, which I believe led to that tie. But still, I mean, like, when you look at James Conner, everything that he did, like, in that first year, I mean, when we look at it, I mean, for all the things that he has done, I mean, with this team, I remember back in Cleveland 2 years ago, he did have about 135 yards rushing as well as 57 yards receiving, which wasn't bad. 192 yards total on scrimmage for that game, which was very incredible. Like I said, he did have one fumble lost in that game. They did eventually have a tie in that game. And that was like another example where a lot of Steeler fans wore egg on their face. And I did talk about this earlier in the week, but speaking of which, I mean, with Cam Hayward getting his contract extension, what do you guys think? Do you guys really feel like this makes a guy like a Le'Veon Bell look worse Remember, 2 years ago, they were all frustrated with the fact that they were not going to be having their guy Le'Veon Bell with them. He wasn't there in training camp for the second straight year. I mean, since they couldn't come to terms on a not just a long term contract, but guaranteed money that he was seeking for, guaranteed contract, something he felt kind of like this point they could not do, and he kind of felt like his teammates crossed that line. But what do you guys think when you see a guy like Cam Hayward, who's going to be playing for another 5 seasons, starting with this year? You guys feel like in any way Le'Veon Bell, I mean, really looks like he's in a bad spot as far as like, well, I mean, just by like not showing up, we're not going to really try and take care of you as much as far as like keeping you around long term. I guess what I'm trying to say is, do you feel like Cam Hayward is just a representative of what the Steelers are like as far as doing business, being a representative on and off the field, and sticking with us? We will take care of you. Again, if you guys want to, feel free and call in at any point during this podcast. Feel free. You can hit me up at the studio number at 312-209-2232. Again, that's 312-209-2232. Again, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Prodigy Richie. For the Man of Steel podcast on Twitter, it is at Man of Steel CJR. On Instagram, it is at Man of Steel Nation. And there you have it for right now. So definitely in the beginning, some more coverage. I'll give you my wrap up my keys of the game for tomorrow's matchup when they go and take on the New York Giants in that contest for tomorrow, as we get ready to expand a little bit more here on the Man of Steel podcast. I'm definitely going to deliver every Sundays right now going forward on the day of the game. I'm hoping for 10:30. If not, if I am going to run a little late, it'll be at 11 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time at the latest, if you guys do happen to catch me at that point. In other words, and some other stuff we got right now, TJ Watt on the Steelers' defense, he is saying that the word is speed. We're very fast, playing a lot, faster than knowing how we play off of each other. And I think that is definitely going to be very key for the Steelers' defense. I mean, when we look at it. I mean, the Steelers, going into this matchup against the Giants, when you look at it, who definitely had a lot of good categories in that season. And one of the things I'll be interested, aside from like the sack record, let's go ahead and jump right into fair or foul right now. Fair or foul topic number one. The Steelers will be able to replicate what they did last year as far as creating 30-plus takeaways in a season. Fair or foul? I'm going to say fair for right now. I definitely do feel like they got a unit right now. I think it's right now. It should be really interesting with Minkah Fitzpatrick going into the second season with this team. This time having a training camp. No preseason. That's the biggest difference. But, Minkah Fitzpatrick, which, by the way, who is entering his third season in his NFL career as we look at it, for everything that has been going on. And we'll see how that pans itself out, because Minkah, like I said, just as much as Terrell Austin Sr. has been like a huge game changer for this Steelers defense. He's played in all 16 games. Didn't finally get his first start. Last year in 2019. He played in all 16 games, but he really, like I said, he didn't really start making his impact until he came over here with the Steelers against the San Francisco 49ers. That was an 0-3 start at that point, which we saw. And I got to tell you, for right now, when we look at it, Minka, I gotta believe he's gotta be one of the people who's be fresh as a daisy coming out of this. Definitely a guy who's gonna feel a lot more of a better game plan and a lot more unification, as you can see here. But we'll see. I think for right now, one of the things too against like this Giants offense right now. I mean, this Giants team they have turned the ball over 33 times in this contest, and for having 33 turnovers or 30 turnovers, excuse me, or 33 turnovers, that is ranked 30th in the league. So they do a legitimate job taking care of the football. And for right now, the only thing is on defense, they're ranked 28th with 16 takeaways. So it'll be real interesting to see right there how the Steelers right there are going to be able to force any takeaways, be aggressive with Daniel Jones right there. I got to imagine right there the Steelers are going to be attacking that offensive line. That's what the team was giving up 43 sacks last year. I mean, with that team. And I really feel like for right now, if you got like a second-year quarterback and a guy like Daniel Jones, you want to keep this guy as fresh as possible here. I just don't feel like you want to like make him feel like in an unpredicament where he's not going to feel any sense of security. You got to do everything you can to take care of that because I think that's going to be very key right there. If they start to protect this guy in this game, you probably get one, maybe two sacks. Probably keep this thing a little bit closer. I think the Steelers will still end up winning this game, take care of business against that team, but we'll find out more so. Also, too, as confirmed by Joe Ruther of Trib Live regarding David DeCastro, who is the starting right guard. He has been dealing with a knee injury since August 28th during a scrimmage. He also missed the first week of pad practice in training camp. So for right now, they're going to be having Stephen Wisniewski. He will get the start at right guard in place of David DeCastro here. As you remember, Wisniewski, by the way, he is coming over from the Kansas City Chiefs, if I'm not mistaken. So we look at it. And we'll see how he gets ready to step in for that position. Because I got to tell you, David DeCastro, I'm a little bit disappointed in that he won't be available. That was definitely a major concern right there. I mean, he has been a backup role last year for the Kansas City Chiefs, played in 11 games. I mean, did a very key figure, I got to believe. But still, I mean, two-time Super Bowl champion coming over from like the Eagles and the Chiefs right there. Primarily a starter from the Eagles back earlier on in his playing career. So I'm going to be really interested right there how we get Ben Roethlisberger feeling comfortable with that. So Chiefs victory we'll get into a little bit more tomorrow in depth. Also, Bob Pompiani of 93.7 The Fan. Bob Pompiani. And also KDKA. Joe Judge, Garrett's team, after stretching individuals and lit into them, wasn't happy with their practice. Definitely a lot of cursing words shot out over there. Media had to leave at that point, but sure seemed as if they were starting the practice over. So I'm going to be really interested to see with that. What kind of firepower does the Giants come out there with Monday night's game? Will they come out there a lot more waking up and put on a show in New York? I mean, for the Giants fans. I mean, that's one thing I will watch out for. I mean, like playing an angry team, a frustrated team, I guess could say, in the least. But I definitely got to believe right now that's one element to be careful with. Who are they going to take it out on for that team right there? And we'll see how that continues to go in here right now. And then let's go ahead and wrap it up with fair or foul. For fair or foul topic number 2, let's just start in the month of September. We'll get into the season a little bit more. So remember, they open up on the road against the Giants. Then after this game, they'll be having their home opener next week against the Denver Broncos. And then home against the Texans. And then on the road against the Titans. Fair or foul topic number 2. Pittsburgh Steelers will have a clean sweep of this month. They will start off 4-0. I will say foul on that one. I'll probably go somewhere around 3-1. I'll definitely see them taking care of the Giants, the Broncos, the Texans. I think their first loss probably will come on the road in Tennessee, where they'll have to stop. I mean, just going up a guy like Derrick Henry right there. And usually that's probably like where you have like some of your flip-flop games, if you ask me. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and go 3-1 for this season. For the month of September, I'm gonna start off with right there. So be definitely enjoying home right now. I know the Steelers ain't playing today, but they will be playing next Sunday. And real quickly, by the way, Steeler Nation, how are you guys gonna be watching the Steelers? Let me know. I want to hear your tweets, your comments. How you gonna be watching the game? Is anybody hooking up with some friends? Are you going to a Steeler bar? Or are you going to be doing like me, getting Sunday NFL ticket and watching the games that way? Please feel free to share me your game day excitement. Leave them in the comments below. You can leave them on the Facebook Mass Steel podcast page. And that's going to do it for a wrap for this edition here of NFL Game Day Kickoff here at the Mass Steel podcast. Once again, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Prodigy Richie, Mass Steel podcast on Twitter, at Mass Steel CGR, and at Mass Steel Nation on Instagram. As always, leave you. Don't be trolling, be rolling. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. I gone.